The next major war is reportedly about to begin, and D-Day has already been chosen, Michael Snyder reports. Not another one. As I repeatedly warned my readers, leaders all over the globe seem to have come down with a really bad case of war fever. Instead of sitting down and attempting to find solutions through diplomacy, many of our leaders seem quite eager to use military force to settle matters these days. There's no peaceful end to the war in Ukraine on the horizon. China is making preparations to invade Taiwan, and the shadow war in the Middle East could easily erupt into a full-blown regional conflict. But in this article, I'm going to focus on the next war that is reportedly about to begin. A group of nations in Western Africa, known as ECOWAS, is prepared to invade Niger with the approval of the EU and the Biden administration, and CNN is reporting that D-Day has already been chosen. The West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, says that it has chosen an undisclosed D-Day for a possible military intervention to restore Niger's democratically elected president following last month's coup. Abdel Fattah Moussa, the Commissioner of Political Affairs, Peace and Security of the Economic Community of Western African States, ECOWAS bloc, said that military forces are ready to go anytime the order is given for military intervention in Niger. The D-Day is also decided, which we are not going to disclose, Moussa said, as he told journalists after the two-day meeting of West African defense chiefs in the Ghanaian capital of Accra. Moussa went on to ominously declare that his alliance will not put up with any more coups in Niger, and that they are putting a stop to it at this time. The commissioner said the bloc had decided that the coup in Niger is one coup too many for the region, adding that there will be no further meetings of ECOWAS defense chiefs on the issue. We are putting a stop to it at this time, Moussa said in his concluding remarks. But what most people in the Western world don't realize is that there's a lot more to the story than we're being told. For decades, puppet politicians have allowed wealthy Western nations to greatly exploit Niger. It has vast quantities of gold and uranium, and the vast majority of the population of Niger continues to live in complete and utter poverty. And this is why the coup is so popular in Niger. The population is sick and tired of being raped by France and now from its natural resources, and now the French are deeply concerned that they may no longer be able to exploit their former colony. A powerful undercurrent of the military coup in Niger is anti-French sentiment emerging from a sense that Niger has been exploited by its former colonial master, France. Supporters of the coup have protested that the French embassy and otherwise attack French interests in Niger. One particularly prominent complaint has to do with French use of Niger's rich resources, especially gold and uranium, while Niger remains one of the poorest nations in the world. France's President Emmanuel Macron, who is fresh off the heels of riots and an uprising in Paris, largely perpetrated by immigrants from France's former colonies, has warned Niger against any attack on France's interests. Of course, you won't hear any of this on the corporate news networks. They'll just tell you that the coup leaders are bad and the upcoming invasion is good, and so that is what most people will believe. But by the way, did you know that the U.S. currently has more than 1,000 troops in Niger? The United States has 1,100 troops in Niger, where it has spent hundreds of millions of dollars training security forces to battle terrorist organizations. Niger is a critical part of America's overall counter-terrorism strategy, especially given the rise of Islamist extremist groups in Africa. Why did we need to have so many troops there? Sadly, it seems like we have troops almost everywhere. Ultimately, the U.S. military is used to keep order, quote unquote, over all the world, and that often means protecting Western economic interests. Meanwhile, we've just learned that the Netherlands and Denmark have agreed to provide Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets. The Netherlands and Denmark will provide Ukraine with much sought-after F-16 aircraft in an agreement hailed by President Volodymyr Zelensky as historic. Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, has urgently been calling on its Western allies to provide F-16 jets, as its slow-moving counteroffensive is hampered by Russian air superiority. And speaking at a joint press conference with Zelensky at Eindhoven Airport, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte said his country would commit to delivering F-16 aircraft to Ukraine once the conditions for such a transfer have been met. Zelensky has wanted F-16s for a long time, and now he's going to get them. Both sides just continue to escalate the conflict in Ukraine, and this is going to be such a huge story in the months ahead. On the other side of the world, it appears that the Chinese military has been systematically practicing for an invasion of Taiwan. The Chinese People Liberation Army PLA Eastern Theater Command has released a provocative video showing troops practicing a coastal invasion of Taiwan. The video first appeared on the social media site WeChat Thursday and features waves of PLA soldiers storming beaches, including armored vehicles and tanks driving into attack positions. The clip did not specifically name Taiwan, but given the Eastern Theater Command oversees the Taiwan Straits area, it's being widely interpreted as a warning and threat aimed at a self-ruled island, which is backed by the West. The moment that China launches such an invasion, the US and China will be at war. We're living at a time of wars and rumors of wars, but most people in the Western world don't understand any of the things that I just shared with you. In fact, most of our young people would have a really difficult time even finding Niger, Ukraine, or Taiwan on a blank map of the world. But eventually, conflict will arrive on our doorstep too, and then everyone will be paying attention. This is by Michael Snyder, and he says about the author, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss any of the latest updates. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, or financial or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.